big leather jackets, and that's the 360th Bombardment Squadron patch, which is an example of over here. And then, well, we'll start with this handsome young guy, by golly. That's Chuck Roth. That's the tail gunner, Wayne Stevens. That's John Sherman, I think, the waist gunner. And that's got to be Mr. Pacheco.
Yeah, he was a ball turret gunner.
And
that was the engineer.
Okay.
He had a turret that stood right behind the fire.
And we're not sure, you know, what happened that day to Jerry Dobbins. I mean, a lot of the guys in this room have been in the military. Things happen. Hey, you know, your shot record's not up to date. Get over to the infirmary right now. My picture's being taken. I don't care. Get your shot records done.
Yeah.
Yes.
The story we got from Earl Trundy was that this picture was taken in Bangor.
Okay. Really? Okay.
When the plane landed for refueling before it left.
Okay.
Jerry took the opportunity to go home.
Did he go see his mom and dad or his girlfriend? I read something about the high school yearbook that he had a pretty serious girlfriend here at Stockton. Really?
I was told it was my mother.
Well, there you go.
They said he wanted to be a pilot, but he was colorblind, so he couldn't pass the test.
So anyway, you know, talk about the training. The Army Air Corps, or the Army, had its own way of doing training, but in, you know, maybe August of '42, when do you think you got to Kellogg Field in Michigan? Would that be about right?
Let's see, we got the plane in the last of September or the first week in August.
Okay. So anyway, at that point, you know, the 360th Bombardment Squadron had been to several places. It had been to Alamogordo, New Mexico.
Yeah.
It had been to Biggs Field in El Paso, Texas. It had been to Gowan Field in somewhere in Idaho. But finally, they got to Kellogg Field in Michigan, and that's where the crew was put together. The Army Air Corps said, okay, 360th Bombardment Squadron, Flight A, Schulstad's crew, you 10 guys. And they're the 10 guys right there.
Yeah.
And they were a crew. And my dad tells me a story. He said the Army made him sign for the airplane.
Yes.
He said he was making like $40 a month. He said, how much does this airplane cost? He had to sign a hand receipt. He said $287,000. Okay, I'll sign. And so I think you guys, what, flew 1 or 2 practice missions? Went out to Tucson or went out to West Texas and back?
Well, we shot up a farm that had chickens running around. They told us to quit that.
Anyway, they didn't have a lot of crew time together. They had a few practice missions, you know, a couple takeoffs and landings local, but one long haul simulation.
Yeah, they had a trailing wire plane that flew about 100 yards behind the plane, and we kept shooting the cable off.
Yeah, they would take another plane and then with a tow cable and a big white sleeve, they'd tell the gunners, well, go ahead and have some practice. Just don't work your way up that copper wire too far.
Too far, yes.
I guess those were the pilots who didn't do well, had to fly those ones. Anyway. So the crew was formed, ready to go. We'll talk about their transit across the ocean, but let's just get back to the basics of Air Force organization, or in this case, this is the Army Air Corps, AAC.